Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. Inter Miami defeats FC Cincinnati 4-0 and are headed to the conference final. 4-0 at TQL Stadium. The Herons keep a clean sheet. Javier Mascherano has a masterstroke. Tadeo Allende with a brace. And Lionel Messi does what he always does with 4 goal contributions. In the last 12 months, how high does this rank in terms of your enjoyment as a viewer? Because let's just say the last 3 months. I feel like this has to be number one.
Top 2, if not top, has to be top 2 at least. Honestly, at this moment in time, it's the best. It's the best damn feeling in the world. I would have given a standing ovation, but I'm wearing my pajamas, so I don't want to stand up. But my goodness, what have we watched? This is what this team was made to be. Javier Mascherano, hats off to you, man. You've put 2 performances back to back that have been nothing but exceptional. I don't know what I was watching because that was beautiful. It's been a while since I've seen my football team perform in such a way, in such a difficult game, against all odds being stacked in their favor, in the opposition's favor, and here we are. I told you, if I show up, we're going to win. And if I didn't show up, it would have been quite bad. So I'm glad that I managed to, by hook or by crook, be there in the pregame show. I'm going to stop talking because my internet is a bit janky, but my God, that was brilliant.
Okay, well, let's start with this. The big decision was we're not going to start Luis Suarez. We're going to start Matteo Silvetti, which is the same decision that they were forced to make for Game 3 of the Nashville series. And we talked about it in the pregame show. We actually talked about it during the week and thought there was no way they were going to do this. Then we get the lineup, they do it, and we weren't sure. And I just have to start by saying congratulations and shout out to the decision makers at Inter Miami for putting Matteo Silvetti into this game because it made all the difference. He starts with the first half assist, scores the goal to make it 2-0, and from that point on, there was never any doubt that Inter Miami was going to win this game. So they absolutely nailed it. 1,000%, an incredible decision. And to Matteo Silvetti, I have repeatedly said since the day we signed him that fans should not put too many expectations or too much hype on this kid because he is 19. He has not played that much senior ball, and he is just a kid. I'm off it, man. He's a star. He's a star. He's unbelievable. He is absolutely built for this moment. He is talented enough to take this moment for everything that it's worth. He is an absolute superstar. And so congratulations to Javier Mascherano for the decision. Congratulations to Matteo Silvetti for having that performance. Thank you again for being yourself, Lionel Messi, who has 4 goal contributions, and then Tadeo Allende with the brace. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Tunde asks, are you convinced yet? With your permission, Scotty, can I share what you said to me offline, or do you want to not jinx it, or do you want to say it yourself? And this is about Matteo Silvetti, because that's a bold statement and it could be completely true. You said that next year, Matteo Silvetti might just be the second best player on this team. And I'm all for it, man. It could very well be the truth. This kid is special. That first cross into Messi was no joke. It was the Jordi Alba cross into the box. And then that finish, we had Baltazar Rodriguez, who got into a really good position, had a really good chance, and the goalkeeper saved it. But that finish from Matteo Silvetti was something special, man. This kid, my goodness, he's arrived. He's arrived.
I want to be careful about what I say, but I do want to just I'm like trying not to go overboard on this, but he is incredible. And what a difference it makes having him on the field above anyone other than Lionel Messi, at least tonight. There was a ton of incredible performances, and we'll talk about Rodrigo de Paul, and we'll talk about Rocco, and we'll talk about Maxi Falcone, and we'll talk about Busquets, and we will talk about Baltasar, and we will talk about Allende and Messi. Okay, you get the idea. But this Matteo Salvetti kid is something special, and for him to do it on this stage, on the road, in that environment, in an environment that has broken every other player on this team. Every other player on this team has gone into that environment and come out short. And Salvetti has gone into that environment and made it his own, silenced those crowds. It's just, I can't say enough good things about him right now. As far as Tadeo Allende, he now finishes with he now has a 20-goal season at Inter Miami. Probably his best overall game at Inter Miami. Clean on the ball, scores 2 goals, is given 2 great opportunities, and he finishes them both. And even though it was goal number 3 and goal number 4, it was spectacular. And then Lionel Messi, who I've mentioned 100 times this year, that we need him to get 2+ goal contributions in every playoff game for us to win. He delivers. Gets that opening goal, a header, and he makes it look effortless. Speaking of that, Salvetti cross. Messi pulls off the defender pretty late in the process, and so for Salvetti to still see that and find it was incredible. Who do you want to talk about? Where do you want to start? Okay, we lost Saur for a little bit because his internet's not great, but we'll get him back in a second. And then the other player that I thought was also a standout was Rodrigo de Paul, who was just fantastic in the midfield. There was like a 30-second period in the beginning of the second half where he has the anticipation to steal the ball and then crosses over to the defender, and he looked like everything we've wanted him to be. But throughout this game, the effort, the hustle, the energy, the technical ability, and the composure in tight spaces, it was phenomenal from Rodrigo de Paul. He was, again, I want to be careful with Rodrigo de Paul because we saw this in game 1 against Nashville. He looked incredible, and then it was poor again the next game. So please just bring that back again. But it was at a level that I think makes you feel really confident about what he can be. And then last, also, I wanted to mention Maxi Falcone, who I thought had another fantastic game. He's been so good of late. Okay, while we wait for Saur to come back, and just for the record and for anyone listening on audio, he is traveling, and so he's at an Airbnb, and the internet is pesky with him right now. And so we will hopefully get him to call in a second. 63 minutes. This is into the 63rd minute. 1 goal, 2 assists. We're going to do this. DePaul balled out today. He played like a world champion plays. By the way, I should mention, StreamYard changed their settings, so you don't always get your name. So I apologize if I don't read someone's name before their comment, but it's just your username, and sometimes that's difficult to parse. Amart says, DePaul balled out today. He played like a world champion. Yeah. Rodrigo de Paul is, I think, maybe the player. No, there's 6 players that I am ultra enthused about their performance today. Pep. Amart says, Rodrigo de Paul balled out today. Played like a world champion. What did you think of Rodrigo de Paul?
Oh, so good. We were talking about how Inter Miami was just able to cut through Cincinnati like butter. Hot knife through butter, and I think Rodrigo de Paul was the quintessential midfielder that he needed to be to put those line-breaking passes in. He was so good. I thought he was 10 out of 10 in that midfield. Ball recovery, positioning, but more so, I think it was his passing that was exceptional today. It was just, he was playing at a different level. And you could tell this was the World Cup Rodrigo de Paul that had come out to bowl. I loved his performance. I think I'm going to rewatch it and it's going to be even better. But wow, that was phenomenal. Also, I might just go off camera because otherwise my internet and my computer will crash and you guys won't be able to hear my lovely
That's
voice
fine.
and anybody wants to see my face. So we're good with this.
That's fine. And then Lionel Messi, I want to talk about specifically. But lastly, let's talk about Maxi Falcone because I thought he was the other standout. Obviously, Baldassar was good. Jordi Alba, Busquets, Rocco. Like there was a lot of really good performances, but to me, like an exceptional performances. I thought there was 5 guys that really needed to be talked about: Messi, Allende, Silvetti, DePaul, and then Maxi Falcone. He has been lights out for the last 6 weeks to 10 weeks, really. And even of late, he stepped it up another level. He was fantastic again tonight. What'd you think?
Wait, Allende, you mean?
Maxi Falcone.
Maxi Falcone. Oh, sorry. I was thinking about this one moment that I do want to mention before I turn to Maxi Falcone. In the 46th minute, which is 45 plus 1, Rocco Rios Novo had a long ball straight into the front line. And I think it was Tadeo Allende who brought it down with his first touch and just stopped it in its track. And I was like, this is voodoo magic. It's never happened before. It's never going to happen again. Inter Miami has done some sort of magic in the TQL stadium that Allende is playing to this extent. That first touch was exquisite. Thank you. Maxi Falcone. Oh my God. 2 clean sheets back to back, by the way, against 2 very tough opponents. This is a Cincinnati team that scores for fun at times, especially against Inter Miami. It definitely scores for fun. He didn't have the best right back to back him up today. He had to do a lot of cover job. But one thing that stood out to me is not just his aggressiveness, his fight. I know Taylor Twelman mentioned in the chat in the commentary that every time Cincinnati gets a corner, we mention Maxi Falcone fighting and getting called out by the ref. But it's more than that. His ability to just be stuck to a man, to go in when he needs to not be turned inside out like a lot of Inter Miami's defenders in the past have been culpable to doing. And I don't just mean Lujan. We've not been used to having a defender who can actually recover well while actually also going in and pressing the ball and just sticking to his man. His ability to do that, but also maintain the defensive shape, has been a game changer over the last 6 weeks. I don't know what they've been feeding him in the training ground because he looks like a transformed player. He was good in certain games, but he had some really bad games. But now it looks like he's put those bad games behind him and he's just locked in the entire 90 minutes. He's locked in. And that's what I want to see of my defense.
And he had a different challenge today, right? It feels like Inter Miami has only played Nashville over the last 6 weeks. But Sam Surridge is a very prototypical big man, get in the box and poach striker. And that is actually something we've seen Maxi Falcone handle pretty well this season. Denke, very rangy, roams around and then interchanges and has the pace. And he also handled that pretty well. And so to see it consistently at a great level against different types of strikers, I think is fantastic. But also, this is the playoffs, and it doesn't matter what projects moving forward. The fact that he's doing it in the big moment, I think, is actually even the biggest thing. So congratulations to Maxi Falcone, and thank you for playing tonight.
And just to wrap it up on Maxi Falcone and also the defensive line in general, I think there's been an increase in physicality. I thought Noah Allen once again tonight was back to one of his best performances over the last few months. But it's not just bully ball anymore, right? You're not just trying to be physical and make fouls. It's bully ball with a brain. And that's what you want to see. And Inter Miami defenses are not used to doing that. So I'm really pleasantly surprised that we actually put forward a defensive performance that is bullying the opposition, but also keeping your head intact and making sure you're making the right decisions and the IQ is there. Because that just allows the front to do what they want to and do what they do best, which is score goals. And it just looks really good. And I hope in the next 2 games, and yes, there's only 2 games now that we need to win, that this continues.
Okay, I have 2 more things I want to talk about before we get to the chat. But Lionel Messi, the last great one. He gets a goal. He gets 3 assists. It actually felt like he played an A- game by his standards, and he still had 4 goal contributions. And I wonder, and like was fantastic. That doesn't take anything away from him. He was still the best player on the field. I wonder if having the athleticism around him really does just make everything easier for him. And if this is what we've needed to do to support him at Inter Miami, A, long may it continue, and B, shame on us for not getting to this point sooner, because he was having fun out there and he was just dicing up the opposition in ways that we normally see him try harder to make happen, and it was just coming easy to him today.
Can I rephrase what you just said? Instead of having an A- performance, I think he won the Best Actor award in a supporting role tonight, instead of actually winning the Best Actor award. He was just as good as he always is. He just didn't need to take it up on his own shoulders. He didn't need to be Atlas tonight, who's lifting Inter Miami forward. He had performers in and around him who he could uplift. So I think tonight he took a step back, played a supporting role, and still won the Oscars for that. But it was a different kind of performance from him. And again, 4 goal contributions. It's insane.
I want to pull that back a little bit, because we just watched the second half, but in the first half, he was the guy that delivered the big moment. So
Absolutely.
And that's what we talked about. Listen, when Inter Miami lost against Nashville in the second game, we were critical of Messi and some of the stars, and we've done this in the biggest games this year, Leagues Cup final and CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal against Vancouver. Like, we, in the biggest games, or at least I, tend to put more of the blame on the best players for not stepping up. And you think about what happened tonight for Cincinnati. Evander did not show up. Denke was pretty good, but Brenner did not show up. Their best players did not show up for them, and they lost. You think about what happened in Nashville. Sam Surridge did not show up for Nashville, and they lost. Inter Miami tonight, they needed Messi to show up, and he absolutely did. And so even though second half, Allende gets the goals, even though we had spread things open by the time Cincinnati's desperate for the win, or desperate for a goal to come back, so that he had his superstar performance, it was Messi that broke the game open early on to put Inter Miami in the lead and to give them that first advantage. So, like, I also want to give him equal praise for being the big man in the big moment, right? Okay. Saur, here's the thing. We talked about this all week, the last 2 weeks, really. Actually, the last, 6 weeks, that Cincinnati in that second round, especially on the road, is the hard one. And they did it. They won 4-0, which leads us to the conversation about what comes next, and we'll get to the chat right after this. Inter Miami will either play at Philadelphia next weekend if Philadelphia wins this upcoming game against NYCFC, or they'll host NYCFC. But I still think tonight was the biggest challenge. Inter Miami moving forward, I think, has to be the undisputed favorites to win this tournament.
Up until this point, Inter Miami was not the favorite to win. That's clear. There were teams who, on their day, could easily beat Inter Miami. Tonight, that's changed. This was the game that you had to win. This was the game where you had to prove your mettle and show the world why Inter Miami is considered one of the best teams in the MLS. And as you said it, from here on out, we are the favorites to win this. LAFC has been knocked out. We knocked out Cincinnati. No more Columbus. We should be able to beat either Philadelphia or NYCFC. And then Vancouver, I think that's a revenge game that we have to win, especially when it's at home. This is it, man. We've come this far. Now you can't falter. Do or die.
No, I think you're right. They are as close as I get they haven't been to this point yet, and so they are technically as close as they've ever been. But the path now, I think, is also as beautiful and as pretty as it could be for Inter Miami at this stage. And that's a fantastic feeling. Okay, let's get to the chat. Pepto says, I'm not going to read that comment from Pepto. Amart says, I don't want to hear about how good Evander is. He's mid at best. He will never leave the MLS. And then he says, Miami's defense tonight was stellar. They bullied Cincinnati all game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you phrased it best, right? Evander's a fantastic player, top 5 players in the league for sure. But a mark of a great player is when you show up in the big moments. Tonight, Cincinnati at home, this was their opportunity. They had to be able to beat Inter Miami. They were the favorites. But I think for me, this is what stands out when it comes to good players and great players, and that's what Messi is. And Evander, fantastic player, but tonight he didn't show up. And kudos to Inter Miami's defense, because for me, that really was a clutch defensive performance, especially when you have your starting right back out. You have to deal with a few issues. Kevin Denke on that side was getting the better of Baltazar Rodriguez and Jordi Alba. Noah Allen was having to cover a little bit. There were moments that Cincinnati had. It wasn't like they didn't have their chances. They had a couple of half chances, close chances that Inter Miami still had to deal with, and their defense showed up. So it wasn't just Inter Miami constantly pressuring Cincinnati. Yes, for the large parts of the game, especially in that second half, it looked like that. But first half, if Cincinnati had got an early goal, it could have been different. But Inter Miami's defense really stood the test tonight and has to be applauded for sure.
Pepto says Suarez sub nation. We big up. Okay. Let's talk about this decision moving forward, because it is. I never thought we would get here. Like I truly, we even had this conversation 3 times over the last couple of weeks about how Inter Miami is going to go back to Suarez. They're just going to, because it's Luis Suarez. And now we realize they don't have to just because it's Luis Suarez. I was thinking this entire game, there is no role for Luis Suarez off the bench even. And of course, as a starter, Sovetti was incredible, and the team looked great without Suarez on the field. I think you have to stick with this. Let me get your thoughts first before we talk about what will actually happen.
I still think we're living in an alternate reality, so I'm not really sure whether this has happened, whether Inter Miami's actually won this game and gone on to the next round, because how many multiverses, universes there might be, this was not a eventuality that I'd ever even considered. We talked about it midweek, and I thought this was going to be impossible, and Javier Marchano was going to go back to his preferred lineup, and yet here we are talking about Suarez not starting this game even when he was fully fit and available. My God, we've come a long way with Javier Marchano. But this is about Suarez. I think I would have preferred if the coaching staff had obviously dealt with this differently during the regular season, when there were moments where Suarez was not playing well. You should have made the decision and taken the, bold call of dropping him. I understand why Javier Marchano didn't do that, but to do this in a conference semifinals is a very gutsy move. I'm glad it paid off, and I think that was the right decision. Moving forward, I don't see how Suarez gets back into the starting 11. Maybe there's a case to be made that the opposition that we play in the next game, whether it's Philadelphia and New York, deserves a different sort of a challenge from our front line. So perhaps Suarez slots back in because we don't need to press as high or whatever. But I think I told you this when we did our draft for the best 20 players. I don't think Luis Suarez is part of the best starting 11 that this team has right now. And we found a way to play better without him. That was my concern. Will Inter Miami find a way to play better without him? We tried a few times during the regular season, tried a back 3. Didn't work out as such. Played still one couple of games. But this, I think, is the true manifestation of what this team should look like. And I don't know if the next game I want Suarez back in the starting 11. Actually, I don't. I don't want him back in the starting 11. I think that he's better off from the bench, if that.
Yeah, just to rain on the parade for a second, Inter Miami was out-athleted in both games against Cincinnati. Lost 3-0 on the road. Was a 0-0 draw, but I thought Cincinnati outplayed them, Inter Miami, in that game at Chase Stadium. So this was going to be a really tough matchup, and I admire the decision to switch it up and try a more athletic lineup, and it absolutely worked, and the quality shone through without any sort of athletic disadvantage. Inter Miami did play better against Philadelphia, so I wouldn't be shocked if Suarez finds himself back in the starting 11 against a Philadelphia team where he does match up a little bit better and has proven that this season. I'm sorry, or NYCFC, either of the two. Don't mean to make any assumptions. But I wouldn't do it. I would stick with this because this is awesome. And I think Javier Mascherano will. I think that Lionel Messi is so talented and he raises the technical ability of this team so high that if you can match other teams in terms of the effort and it's not effort because slow players can put in effort, but just getting to those second balls a little bit quicker, closing down those passing lanes, making it the time for you to make as a defender a decision on which way to go with the ball and then end up making mistakes because the close down speed is just a little bit faster. Man, it can make all the difference, and then it just creates better opportunities for Inter Miami and at the feet of Lionel Messi, and you can just explode with that. Like, you can see all of what it is, and we have talked about Telasco Segovia. We've talked about Yannick Bright and being okay with them not starting because this is the playoffs, and it's about winning over everything. And it's not about what you did in the regular season. It's not about how good you are. It's not about how talented you are. It's about how you are going to contribute to winning this next game that's right in front of us. And if Suarez is not that guy, regardless of what his career or legacy is, he's got to be 5 minutes off the bench, just like Yannick Bright. And I'm a little hesitant to truly believe that Javier Mascherano is ready to just pull that plug totally, but I'm ready to do that.
Man, I'm just so glad we won this game.
I know.
I can now enjoy my little trip excursion that I'm on. I don't have to think about being booted out by Cincinnati and embarrassed again. I can't believe we did it. One more week of reprieve. Let's go.
SD says Messi and Silvetti have amazing chemistry. JC says, don't bother talking. Just spend the next hour silent with your jaws on the floor, and we'll still watch for an hour. Fantastic. What did I just witness? Clean sheet. Let's stop there. Natalia says, clean sheet. Not that he had to make any spectacular saves today, but the frequency of Inter Miami shutting teams down defensively and having clean sheets has gone up significantly with Rocco in goal, with Maxi Falcone playing really well. Noah Allen, who I thought didn't have like that superb performance, still had the one recovery moment that he's on the field for. Not for nothing, but after last game, I did mention that I thought it meant something that Tadeo Allende came on to the field. Toto Aviles came onto the field before Gonzalo Lujan, and that showed up again tonight. I was a little nervous. I think it was 3-0, and Noah Allen goes out, and I would have been more nervous with Gonzalo Lujan on the field than I was with Toto Aviles. So this defense, man, they're doing the thing, and they've done it against. I don't know if Nashville is an electric offense, but they clearly have good results. They clearly put the ball in the back of the net with Mukhtar and Serge. But this Cincinnati team is dynamic and excellent. And Inter Miami just shut him down at home.
I predicted 4 goals. I also predicted 3 goals for Cincinnati. Didn't even come. Not once. This couldn't have been a 7-2 performance because I don't think Cincinnati did enough to score 2 goals. This could have been a 7-0 performance. No, Rocco Blocco, man. That's what it's at. I'm writing down a few lists of names for T-shirt ideas. I've got a few already. Rocco Blocco is going to be on it, and maybe we should credit Chris from Battered Herons for that because he came up with it. But, oh, my God, he's changed my life. He truly has. Not just that. He's really calm under pressure when the ball comes to him, and I think that added to an element of why Cincinnati was not able to press that high. They tried for a bit to isolate Busquets so that he's not able to help us play out from the back, but Rocco Blocco had a few really nice passes into areas which completely freed up the pressure. We were doing this thing where we were bypassing the midfield a few times, which really put things off for Cincinnati, and they had to figure that out because it gave a lot of space to the likes of Baltazar, Messi, and Allende. And I thought that was really good because you could trust Rocco to handle the ball under pressure. Now, moving up to Maxi Falcone, Noah Allen, I thought again, we've talked about it. Noah Allen, I think, back to having a really good performance. He had a brilliant recovery run. I think we're understating how well that was, because I think Denki was on the ball, and he's no joke when it comes to pace. And Allen outpaced him, outsmarted him, got on the right side and booted the ball out. I thought that was for sure done for one-on-one opportunity, but Allen with a brilliant, brilliant recovery. Overall, a really good game. Maxi Falcone, I think, again, constantly putting on man of the match performances in the back line. And Weigand also did really well. After the first few minutes of hesitation and being put under the cosh, I thought he had a couple of moments where he was being completely done over by Brenner. But other than that, I think he was fine. He did well. So that back line is looking solid. And I'm glad that despite a change with Ian Frey going out, who I hope is back in the next game, we still looked defensively stout, which is not something that Inter Miami fans have been able to say about their backline for a while.
I think Evander had sort of a half chance in the box in the first 7 minutes or something like that. And it's a little bit awkward. He doesn't get it right and he puts it above, high. But aside from that, I think most of their shots were from outside the box or off target. Like, they didn't even force Rocco to do much. And that's, yes, because of the back line, but also, and I said this in the pregame, that this was going to be important, the midfield defensively was awesome. And we talked about Rodrigo de Paul, who's great, but Sergio Busquets as well. Like, the team did the work defensively. They started their defense high up the field, which they have not always done. But then when they were sort of put in a position to defend and be stout in their own half, they were able and up to the task as well. Cynical says, Vamos la familia. EMZ says, Lord Allende. I've said it a couple times, but he really is a 20-goal scorer.
No, this is not going to be an ironic Lord. This is going to be an actual crowning of him as Lord Allende, because today he had a brilliant performance. One-on-one opportunities, did not get 5 opportunities and scored 1. He got 2 opportunities, buried both of them. And with disdain. That 4th goal that he scored, he just arrowed it straight between the legs of the keeper and then just looked back like it's nothing. He does this for breakfast every morning. It was fantastic. Confidence is so key to this game, man. If you're playing with confidence, it changes everything. And Allende, you may not have all the skill sets, but you have enough skill sets for me to say, keep doing this, son, and next season you're going to be starting every single game as well. He scored 20 goals. He's outdone Campana. He's outdone Matias Rojas. He's outdone Robert Taylor. This is a big season for him, despite the ups and downs that he's had. Must be acknowledged.
I don't think there's any league in the world where you can score 20 goals and it not be a great season. Like, he's had a great season. I know it looked really ugly at some points, but he had a great season. And
today his touches were silky smooth. It was silky. He was playing with confidence, man. I loved it for him. Honestly, good for you, man. Whatever you've done, good for you.
They took their Bugs Bunny secret sauce water bottle and chugged it before the game. Abhishek says, all hail Mascherano. What do we think? Javier Mascherano in this game.
Hands up,
Let's
man.
stick to this game. Let's just stick to this.
Coached a hell of a game tonight. And the Nashville game. Coached a hell of a game. I think this victory is as much a benefit to him than it is to Messi and the rest of the players on the pitch. He had a call to make. Not an easy call to make at all. And I was just glad that he got vindicated, because I'm glad that he's making decisions by himself that are risky, but you can see why he's doing them, and that's what it's all about.
Well, and it wasn't even that he had a decision to make. It was that he had something and he decided to change it. Like, he could have just stuck with Suarez because it's Suarez.
Yep.
And to switch that. Now, we can have this conversation more moving forward about, how does that whole political dynamic work inside the locker room? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna give him credit for it for right now, and it was incredible to see. And yes, for him to be vindicated was incredible. And for Silvetti, like I gushed about him for the first 5 minutes of this reaction, but even really, really good players can just not have a game, right? And so even if it was the right decision, it may not necessarily have worked, but for it to be the right decision and then for it to come off like it did was spectacular.
And kudos to Silvetti. Did not seem like he was under the spotlight by any means. He was playing with aplomb. And again, the level of confidence he had in himself to finish that first time, to put that ball in the box, making the right decisions. I think, of course, Javi Mascherano must be seeing something in training. And yes, we've been reserved. We, as in the Drive Ping Dialogue, we've been reserved in how we judge Silvetti and Baltazar as well, not wanting to put unnecessary pressure on them, maybe criticizing them sometimes a little bit more than they deserve. But Silvetti tonight stood out as a performer. He was probably the second or the third best player on that pitch, on both teams, which is saying something.
JC says you don't need to be embarrassed about your Lightning McQueen pajamas.
No, they're not Lightning McQueen pajamas. They're Suarez pajamas with face of Suarez everywhere, so can't show them.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, because you wore those, though, Inter Miami won, so you're going to have to keep wearing those.
Yeah.
Akin Laha says, Silvetti was cooking today. 1 goal, 1 assist, and basically everywhere on the pitch. Amanda turned into the team's engine and highlight reel at the same time. One of the things that's really hard for players is to turn all of the technical ability and effort and energy and understanding into actual production. And I think we see that sometimes even with, other players on this Inter Miami team. And Silvetti doesn't feel like he's going to struggle with that. And he had it today. And that was awesome.
There's something about having talent. Then there's something about having confidence. And there's something about having talent and confidence. I think Silvetti fits in that second box. He just knows, he believes in his ability. There's no hesitation. Even if he doesn't make the right choice, he will make the choice and stick by it, right? He had to make a choice between shooting that ball and passing it to Messi against Nashville. He passed it. He had a choice tonight to maybe cut it to Allende, maybe shoot the ball again. But he had a really good ball, a great cross into Messi. And it was directed towards him.
Well, it's not just that.
That takes a lot of skill.
He was, even beyond those 2 plays, the goal and the assist, he was in control and just like
His
a dynamic
on
outlet.
The ball, yeah.
There was some moments where he was getting in that corner with Jordi Alba and Baltazar Rodriguez, and he looked like the better player out of the 3 of them. It was, okay.
By the way,
I am afraid
our front three all finish with goals, multiple, and assists, and also every single one has a above 8 rating on stats, which is probably the first time that's happened this season. All 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm afraid to keep talking about Silvetti because I'm going to get reckless in what I'm saying. Speaking of reckless,
give him the Ballon d'Or.
I'm not 1,000% convinced he's worse than Lamine Yamal, but that's neither here nor there. Anthony says,
"All right, guys, I think it's time to mute Scotty."
Anthony says, when do we play next? That will be next weekend. 1 game will be Saturday, 1 game will be Sunday, and it will be determined probably tomorrow. Upcode says, I actually felt bad for Suarez when he came in. We can talk more about Suarez tomorrow. David says, Silvetti's better than Diego Gomez. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I could see it next season.
On the right trajectory. Let's just put it that way.
I'm telling you, man, if next season, if we imagine Messi just playing as a false 9 next year and us putting 2 true wingers around him and an athletic, talented midfield, it could get scary, but not for us.
It is already getting scary and not for us.
Yeah. Josue says Masha has completely shut you guys down after comparing him to Tata. Snaps to Mascherano for it. Tunde says, Scotty, Are you convinced yet? If that's about Suarez not being in the starting 11, then yes.
I think that was about Silvetti.
Oh, well, then also yes. Abhishek says, MLS actually favored Miami by suspending Luis Suarez. Thank God for the donkey kick. Giselle says, I think I'm losing my hearing because I can't hear the Cincinnati fans anymore.
I haven't even been on Twitter, man. I don't know what the conversation is and what everyone's thinking about this game, but I'm glad that Inter Miami has the last laugh.
That was some good revenge. Margaret says, I love the revenge they gave us a 3-0, so we gave them a 4-0. This feels good. Abhishek says Silvetti won't be here next season. He'll go to Europe. They won't sell him. Not until at the end of next season.
Yeah.
And also, he's so young. He's 19. These kids, they need to get to Europe by like 22. Like that's 21, 22 is when you want to make them. He has 2 years in the MLS and still to be on track to be at the top level if he wants or if he can get there. Abhishek says Lionel Messi's last 7 games, 11 goals, 11 assists, goal contribution every 28.6 minutes. I did see 20 goal contributions in the last, I thought it was 7 games, but again, he has been fantastic.
My God. Those aren't even numbers that are possible in FIFA, by the way, unless you're playing on like beginner mode or something. That's insane.
I know. Royman says the only change I would have made was Telasco for Baltasar. So okay, so let's try and dissect this a little bit. Second half, Inter Miami is up 1-0, and they were playing well, and I thought grew into the game. I thought Cincinnati's best 10 minutes were the first 10 minutes. I thought their best 20 minutes were the first 20 minutes. Like I never felt like once they lost that early momentum, they were ever able to get it back. Was there anything you would have liked to see from this team that you didn't see? I mean, I know that sounds silly, but
no, I think tonight was a perfect performance. It's going to be very difficult to nitpick and say this player should be brought on earlier, this player was poor. I think when you win 4-0 away from home in one of the toughest stadiums in the MLS, and you do it in the way that you do, it's very hard to question the decisions. Tomorrow I'll rewatch the game, see what, how every single player played and dissect everything. But I think overall, this was a 10 out of 10 performance, dare I say.
Yeah. Jay says, thankfully they didn't go to extra time. Mark says, that's the type of performance from RDP I would mention. This is what he does, and this is what we need for the next game. We said it after that first game in Nashville, and this is what scares me just a little bit, is that we saw this type of performance in game 1 of the playoffs, and then it didn't come back game 2. So if he does this, he's the superstar that everything and everyone wanted to see and everyone talked about. But I've been snake bitten, so I want to see it a few more times. Just give me 2 more of those performances this year.
He seems to start looking more comfortable in these games now. I think he's getting used to the 2-man midfield a bit better, and I hope that continues. He's just got to do it for 2 more games. 2 more games, that's all you got to do it for. Not asking for that much. Then you can go on your nice little holiday, watch as many concerts as you want. Just do it for 2 more games.
It's crazy how that is not a talking point if you win and play well. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be, and it shouldn't be.
Mark says, don't know what your problem is with Falcone. He's always been terrific. Sorry, guys. No, he was pretty inconsistent for the first 80% of this season.
He had some really high highs, and he had some pretty low lows.
Yeah.
But his high highs were so good that you're like, why isn't he doing this on a regular basis? And now he seems to be. So I'm more than happy to admit and put a hand up when I am wrong about certain players. But I think Maxi Falcone was good, but he never put in these consistent performances that he's now putting in. I love that. I love that for him.
Yeah. Sonic says we all owe Mascherano and Allende an apology. Mascherano is way better than Tata Martino.
2 more games. Do it for 2 more games, and I'll agree. I'll agree.
We will have the Mascherano conversation because I think the conversation is much different than the last time we had a long, drawn-out conversation with Mascherano. What I will say is I think we were pretty big defenders for Allende for much of this season.
At one point, we were begging for him not to start because we felt sorry for him rather than anything else.
But because we thought this was in him. Like we thought
Yeah.
going to the bench might spark him back into good form, and that running him out there to play poorly was like hurting his confidence. But I think we always, maybe not this game. He was really good on the ball in this game. But this type of performance, we always thought was here. Okay, let's just do one more because we got to watch this other game that's about to start, and we got to prepare for tomorrow's episode. Michelle says, watching you from Argentina. Thank you for checking it out. Lynn says, watching from Australia. Thank you, guys. Tunde says, this game showed us the difference between having Suarez versus mobile players in 2 moments. Messi pulled the team to him and gave Suarez the same thing he gave Allende, and we saw the result. Suarez couldn't even carry it into the box and was forced to drag it wide. Even if a mobile player can't score, they can make that a chance. Suarez can't. I'm not going to disparage Suarez tonight. But I will
So
just
you're not
say,
giving him the Heron That Flew North award?
Didn't even consider it. Listen, I don't know.
No.
Tosca
That'd
Segovia
be way too harsh.
missed an opportunity at the end there too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the other thing about the Suarez decision is it means you get Silvetti on the field, which is, it's not just dropping Suarez to drop Suarez, it's dropping Suarez to get Silvetti. So I will also say, if they're going to put Suarez back on, I think it should be for like Baltasar, not for Silvetti. But a conversation for another day. Okay, Saur, give me your final thoughts. I'm going to go read through the rest of these chats as I watch the rest of this next game. Inter Miami's going to the conference final, which is a sentence I have never said before, and I am pretty excited to have those words come out of my mouth. I know it's late there, so I'll let you go. But give me your final thoughts.
Inter Miami is in uncharted waters. We have never played a second round playoff game before. We have never played a conference semifinals before. We've never played a conference finals before. But the best part about being in uncharted waters is you can just sit back and enjoy, because anything can happen and you have no expectations or hopes. Now, unfortunately, we have a little bit of expectation and a little bit of hope because Inter Miami is playing phenomenal. Nobody expected this performance from us tonight. I don't think any of us expected this level of performance tonight. But beautifully done. Enjoy it, because these moments don't come often. Probably the highlight of the season. Brilliant performance all around, from the coach to the players. Enjoy it for a week, and then we'll be back. 2 more games to championship, baby. 2 more games.
All right, guys, you know the deal. We'll be back tomorrow. Give out awards, talk about the game, think more big picture, and have a chance to rewatch some of the highlights and rewatch the whole game and give our more educated thoughts. But this was the raw reaction, and boy, was it a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.